Hello. In the Crown of Aragon 639 years ago, it was May 17th, 1387. My name is Jonathan Seyfried. I'm a PhD candidate in history at the University of New Mexico, and this is the Historian's Notebook, a podcast about how history gets made. Season 1 is titled Multcara Companiona. We're looking at a document from each day of the first year of the reign of King Joan I of Aragon and Queen Violante de Bar. Let's begin today's document. For today's document, I need some major assistance from Catalan-speaking falconers, and I don't know any. So if you are listening to this and you are a Catalan speaker and you are someone who knows about falconry, please contact me because I am really stumped about some of the vocabulary in today's document. Let's take a step back for a moment, though. We've just had 3 days of Violante, and we've gotten a real kind of dramatic turn from her about Joan's health. So while Violante is talking about advisors of Sibylla de Fortia who've been imprisoned and have confessed to doing sorcery that has nearly killed the king, and is discussing how the ambassadors in Avignon have to go out and find some counterspells or do some kind of spiritual battle over there with the Pope leading it and the master of the Knights Hospitallers, rallying all these people in power positions on the topic of counteracting the evil curse and sorcery. What is Joan doing? He is writing to his purchaser, his procurator in Mallorca, about hunting birds. So now this is how I know that, and here we have Ghost adding into the podcast here in the background. Yeah, she's like, what? Yeah, like Joan is not busy with trying to figure out how to free himself from sorcery. He is instead looking forward to going out with his falcons. And I don't know if you can hear Ghost in the background, but she's like, what? She can't even believe it. Now, this little document today is the one that's in the middle of, it's sort of in the middle. There's like 4 documents on this folio. It's folio 56V in Register 1751, which is a secret seal register. And so there's all kinds of stuff in here, and the dates are all over the place. Actually, wait a second. The dates on this particular page are not quite as all over the place. Okay, this particular page is 15th, 16th of May, but then the surrounding folios, they start to jump pretty wildly around. So, okay, this particular document is a tiny one. It's only 4 lines long, and it's addressed at the bottom. It's got a nice addressee phrase there. Al fiel nostra en Berenguer Lobet, Procurador Real en Regne de Mallorques. Very clear. Berenguer Lobet. Berenguer Lobet. He came up in the context of the Mercos documents. No, wait a second. The Muntros documents. I just did it again. I have this thing with that last name. My gosh. The Muntros documents. We had a trio of Muntros financial documents, and Berenguer Lobet was in there as someone involved, and he's the Procurador Real. He's the royal purchaser in Mallorca. And actually, he was written to before in March 26th. On March 26th, Joan wrote to him about the Crescus Mappa Mundi, but also in that same document he wrote to him about falcons and birds from India. And in this one again, it's almost like it's a reminder. So it's almost like I'm still alive, so don't forget you're supposed to be buying me falcons. So here today we have a follow-up, it seems. So Berenguer Lobet, I think, wears a lot of different hats when it comes to money stuff in the state financial arranging bureaucracy positions in the Crown of Aragon, working for the king. But in this instance, it's pretty clear that one of his duties is to go to Mallorca, or he's probably in Mallorca, to just buy stuff that Joan wants. So here, today, on May 16th, we don't have anything about the Mappamundi, which we actually are going to hear about again because the collection by Antonio Rubio y Luc, where I found the transcription of the March 26th letter, it has another letter from July 1st about the Crescus Mappamundi, where Joan is again writing to the same person, the Procurador Real, Berenguer Lobet, trying to get that. So we're going to hear about the Mappamundi again, but for this document today, Joan is asking about only the hunting birds. So, okay, it's pretty clear that Joan wants Berenguer Lobet to purchase falcons and then this other type of bird, which Joan calls Gallines de India. Okay, so when I was working on this before for the March 26th episode, I tried to figure out like what kind of bird the Gallines might be, and I couldn't really get anywhere, and I still can't. So, Gallines can be translated to pigeon, but I don't think we're talking about pigeons from India, which might not be that valuable and not so good as hunting birds, but maybe it's like a type of pigeon. I don't know. This bird language, I'm just so, I don't have any resources for this. I would have to go find some kind of Catalan birding book. Falconry, man. It has some specialized language. And then another phrase that appears in line 1 after falcons. Okay, falcons de les agres nostres. What is an agres? Well, in the March 26th letter, the word agres came up in a phrase, totes niades o agres de falcons nostres. So apparently the agres is something that can pair with the niades. But when I put those words into the Diccionario Català Valencia Balear, nothing comes up. And so I am stuck. This is some medieval Catalan falconry bird language that is just not used all that much, I guess, and so we don't have it in the dictionary. So when I go to my medieval Catalan seminar the first week of August, I am going to ask, hey, do you know about this? And maybe the scholar who's leading that seminar will be able to help me. Or maybe in the meantime, somebody out there who knows about falconry language will contact me, and I'll figure out what these words mean exactly and get a little bit more detail about exactly what Joan is asking his Procurador to purchase. But again, I think it's interesting that these birds from India, like, are they really from India? This is something that I was wondering in my discussion of the document from March 26th. Like, is it actually India? Is it someplace beyond the Arabian Sea, like through the Red Sea? Like, are the birds really coming through there? Or is it just like how they're known and the birds are from someplace else? Or maybe, they've had a bird breeder with the original ones from India, but it's been like, hundreds of generations of birds now, and they're just kind of known by that name, even though the birds have not really been physically from India for a very long time. I don't know. In any event, we do have this Silk Road connection because at some point or another, this type of bird was associated with India, and we're seeing a connection through this elite activity of falconry between the elites of the Crown of Aragon and the elites of others all along that Silk Road network going to India, because there was falconry all over the Silk Road. Falconry was a status game. It is not an efficient hunting method. I think I mentioned this on March 26th. If you're trying to get calories, hunting with falcons is a ridiculous thing to do because it takes a long time to get very little. And so this is a hunting sport, but it's one that is meant as a spectacle. It's not actually in any way a practical way. There's so many better ways to spend your time if you're trying to get food than falconing, right? So it's the spectacle of watching the falcons fly around and do their thing, hunting, whatever. I don't know. I can sort of appreciate this. I think birds are beautiful to watch and everything, but I have to admit I am a total, ignoramus when it comes to falconry and why it's so awesome. I mean, I think the falcons are really smart and there's some cool poetry about it. All right, I'm going to stop. Okay, let's just take a step back and return to something that I mentioned earlier in this episode, which is that while Violante is pulling out all the stops to get some action in the spiritual battle for, counteracting the curses that have befallen the king, her husband, Joan is like, ooh, didn't I order some falcons? And I know that this is him. This is not the vice chancellor taking care of some humdrum business. This is Joan, conscious and thinking about the future. When he's well enough to go out and be in the open air, and I think you have to walk around. You have to be strong enough to kind of hang out. I don't know. Maybe you could be actually carried out and watch the falcons. So maybe that's not a good assumption here. But in any event, you have to be well enough to leave the room and go outside in order to enjoy your falconry. So Joan must be feeling either well enough to think about how he's gonna be going falconing sometime soon, or maybe this is just wishful thinking. But in any event, or maybe he's just bored. Maybe he's just been sick and he's weak and he has nothing to do. And he's like, wait a second, I ordered some falcons over a month ago. Where are they? And he's basically now contacting his procurador in Mallorca saying, you were supposed to get me some falcons. Or maybe he did and he wants more. I mean, you can never have enough. Frederick the Great, he had a ton of falcons. He had so many falcons that he had 50 falconers. And he loved it. He knew all those falconers by name, apparently. I read that in a scholarly work on Frederick the Great. Frederick the Second. We're not talking about the later one. We're talking about the earlier one, the one who lived in Sicily. All right, anyway, so that's what I have to say about this. That, is it a sign that he's feeling well? Is it a sign that he's still feeling sick? I think, we can interpret this either way, but it's definitely a sign he's alive. That is clear. And so I'm inclined to see this as sort of a Joan really is regaining his strength. And so he's looking forward to receiving more falcons in the future. So he's believing in the future. He's not, booking his ticket to go to Athens like he was before. But, he's well enough to think about how he's going to last he's going to last long enough to see this next shipment of falcons arrive from Mallorca. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Historian's Notebook, Season 1, Molt cara compagnona. If you are leaving with more questions than you arrived with, I've done my job. Remember, the motto of The Historian's Notebook is dissatisfaction guaranteed. Visit the website to see an image of today's document and additional show notes. Oh, gosh, I almost wrapped up this episode and it popped into my mind. I made this claim that I know this is Joan and not a vice chancellor. How do I know that? It's because of the probata. The probata Dominus Rex mandavit mihi per de Berenguer. Okay, that was random insertion there. So anyway, enjoy the show notes for today's episode and listen again tomorrow to hear about the next day in the first year of the reign of King Joan I of Aragon and Queen Violante de Bar. In the meantime, take care.